What do Rudy Gobert, Dikembe Mutombo, Ben Wallace, and Dwight Howard have in common with Kawhi Leonard? Honestly, not much. Every player listed excluding Leonard was a center with a clumsy offensive skill set. Leonard is an efficient three-level scoring cyborg willing the ball into the rim with his preposterous claws. Those claws are what got Kawhi drafted, except he was using them on the opposite side of the court. Kawhi, along with the four aforementioned players, were all back-to-back NBA Defensive Player of the Years. Kawhi is one of the rare NBA prospects who was drafted as a defender but added high-level buckets to his game. In 2021, Leonard would average 25 points while almost shooting 50, 40, 90. Kawhi continues cementing himself as one of the league's best two-way players behind his offensive improvement. For example, during Kawhi's 2 Defensive Player of the Year seasons, he averaged a combined 21 points, 3 assists, and 7.6 rebounds. In comparison, Leonard's 2021 season saw averages of 25 points, 5.5 assists, and 7 rebounds, showing that while Kawhi's scoring has seen significant improvement, so has his ability to play make and orchestrate an elite offense, nearly doubling his totals from those Defensive Player of the Year seasons. Kawhi arrived in Los Angeles a 2-time Finals MVP, and most expected the Clippers to become legitimate Finals contenders. Although last year was the Clippers' first appearance in the Western Conference Finals in franchise history, the Clippers' curse would strike Leonard before he ever got a chance to play in the Western Conference Finals. Kawhi tore his ACL Game 4 of the Western Conference Semis against the Denver Nuggets. I debated leaving Kawhi off this top 10 list due to his injury last season. However, what swayed me was ironically a top 10 list. It was ESPN's top 10 list last year, who left Kevin Durant at number 6. Great players find a way to be great, and Kawhi Leonard is no mere mortal. He's an efficient scoring cyborg with hands the size and dexterity of a Hawks wings. Is my placement of Kawhi in the top 10 debatable? Of course it is. But if you disagree, let me know who should be there in the comments, or make your own video. But congrats, Claude.
Incredible on both ends of the ball, and Kawhi Leonard.
A 3 or 2 is remarkable in and of itself. Let's see, was he behind the line? Let's see if he got it off in time. Watch the foot. Oh yeah, that's a 3, and he got it away in time. That's good. That's a...
From 2001 until 2016, the Dallas Mavericks were a perennial playoff threat in a highly competitive Western Conference. However, after a faltering 2017 season, in which the team only finished 33 and 49, the Mavericks found themselves drafting in the lottery for only the second time in 15 years. Drafting in the NBA has never been an exact science, so NBA executives missing on a high lottery pick isn't anything uncommon. Unfortunately, that's exactly what would happen to the Dallas Mavericks in the 2017 NBA draft, where they would select Dennis Smith Jr., who we're obviously not here to speak about. The 2018 campaign was another rough one for the Mavericks. They would finish the season 24 and 58 and have the 13th seed in the Western Conference. So let's fast forward to the 2018 NBA draft, where their fortunes would undoubtedly change. They would select Luka Doncic, a young kid, Slovenian, the youngest MVP to ever play in the EuroLeagues. Although Doncic is only in his 3rd season, he's already created seismic shifts and waves in the dynamic of the NBA's Western Conference. In a rookie season in where he added 9 total wins to the Mavericks from the season before, Doncic would continue furthering his individual along with the team's success in his 2nd and 3rd seasons, both seasons where they were able to make the playoffs and they faced the Los Angeles Clippers. This past 2021 year, they gave them all they could handle. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were forced to pull out all the stops in a rough 7-game series to beat the Dallas Mavericks. Luka's game is simply electrifying. He emanates a brash cockiness, a cockiness he's earned with success inside and outside of the NBA. With averages of 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists in the 2021 season, I can only imagine the confidence his game can gain. For me, what's most special about Luka is his pace. Pace, pace, pace. Luka's able to paralyze defenders with odd cadence passing, euros, crossovers, and step backs. My guess would be that Luka's mastery of pace sort of subsidizes for what he may lack in athleticism, which does hinder him on the defensive end because he doesn't have the greatest lateral movement, but he does enough to hold his own on the defensive end. Already a top 10 player, if Luka can raise his 35% 3-point shooting into the low 40s, he can easily be top 5 when I remake this list next year. At 22 years old, Luka has a part in the NBA's past, present, and undoubtedly the future.
Knocks like this off the screen and roll. It's a double screen, so Anthony Davis becomes the guy to
that's supposed to help instead of.
Flying into the top 10 behind his uncanny combination of length, athleticism, defensive stoutness, and an offensive prowess, we have the All-NBA big man of the Los Angeles Lakers, Anthony Davis. Even though 2021 was a shortened and COVID-stricken season, Anthony Davis' season felt elongated as he dealt with off-court injuries and on-court inconsistency, coming off a dominant 2020 regular season and a postseason that concluded with Larry O'Brien. Many pundits expected Davis would take reins of the Lakers' offense. Instead, AD performed as a shell of himself. AD's 2021 season averages were well below his career averages across the board. Last season marked career lows for Davis in field goal percentage, blocks, and rebounds. To put it simply, 2021 was a lackluster year, but I wouldn't expect a repeat of the worst season of his prolific career. Davis is a 6'10" super athletic big man with a monstrous 7'6" wingspan. Anthony uses his elite mobility to corral both ends of the floor inside and outside of the paint. AD led the NBA in blocks 2014, 15, and 18, while also being the best pick-and-roll switching big man in basketball. The same can be said for Davis' offensive game. Post, mid-range, or three-point shooting, there are no flaws in AD's ability to score the basketball. In this upcoming 2022 season, Davis must challenge himself to remain aggressive inside and not settle for adequate 17-footers and three-pointers. Despite Anthony's 2020 setbacks, I do foresee the big man having a bounce-back year. My guess, the Brody feast the brow. A lot of lobs and layups in La La Land.
First 3 quarters, he was terrific. He's been quiet here in the fourth. He dances and gets it out to Davis. 3, bullseye! What a shot by Davis!
Philadelphia's Wells Fargo Center is home to the NBA's 7-foot, 260-pound enigma. The second-team All-League big man last season uniquely blends components of the 80s and 90s low-post center with the skill set of a modern small-ball center. Embiid recreated the mold of post anchors such as David Robinson, Shaq, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Throughout Joel's 5-year career, he's controlled games on both ends of the court while manning the paint. Averaging 1.5 blocks that he paired with a steal per game, the Sixers star had another solid year defensively. But before I go too far, Jojo, run that shit back, man! I apologize for the hot mic situation. Let's get back to this list. A solid defensive season isn't enough to get you in the top 10 list, but Joel made huge strides on the offensive end. JoJo had multiple career highs in 2021, including 67% on his attempts from less than 5 feet. During last season's campaign, Embiid reached career marks with 28.5 points per game, while also having his first season shooting at over 50%. Robinson and Shaq both won scoring titles during their career, and Hakeem was recently pushed out of the top 10 all-time scoring by Carmelo Anthony. So, what differentiates Embiid scoring from the legends of older era NBA big men? JoJo is a proven, bona fide 3-level scorer. Earlier, I mentioned Embiid broke career marks offensively in the post. He also had a career year scoring the ball from the perimeter, shooting 38% from behind the three-point line, while also shooting 86% from the free throw line on 11 attempts per game. Joel's season helped propel Philadelphia into the first seed for the first time since the 2000 and 2001 year. Heading into last season, the Bucks, Nets, and 76ers were perceived as the title threats out east. All 3 teams did what they were supposed to do during the regular season, finishing 1, 2, and 3. After discarding the Wizards in a 5-game series during the first round, Joel's Sixers would battle against the 5th-seeded Atlanta Hawks, led by Trae Young. The teams would split the first 6 meetings and have a deciding Game 7 at Wells Fargo Center. Unfortunately for the 76ers, that is where their season ended and when the questions began. The looming situation regarding Ben Simmons re-ingratiating himself with the organization dominated off-season headlines. And if he does, is his fast-paced centric style mixed with his reluctancy to shoot the ball helping or hurting the 76ers franchise player and star?
What good is that?
Big possession out of the timeout, and Embiid just bulldozes. Robinson's in.
Harden, another step back, draws the foul, counted and one. James Harden with a chance for a 4-point play.
Harden's placement was my biggest struggle in relation to this list. Before joining the Nets early last season, James spent the previous half-decade racking up historic scoring numbers as a member of the Houston Rockets. Harden would win scoring titles in 2017, 18, and 19, averaging over 30 points per game in each season. To average over 30 points per game during an NBA season is a highly commendable feat. That being said, Bradley Beal has averaged over 30 points the past 2 seasons, In the 2020 season, the Wizards failed to make the playoffs, and in 2021, they slipped in as a play-in 8th seed. Unlike Beal, Harden was able to turn his individual success into team success, as the Rockets would finish with a top 4 seed from 2017 through 2019. Unfortunately for Rockets fans, Harden's issues were never based in a regular season. After back-to-back postseason defeats to KD, Steph Warriors, and the 2020 early second-round exit to the eventual champion LA Lakers, James felt he had given it his best goals as a Rocket, and with the number of forgettable playoff performances himself, James set his sights on creating spooky nights. He'd begin clamoring for the Rockets organizations to deal him, holding out of team functions and returning disgruntled. After a January 12th, 117-100 trouncing by the Lakers, Harden would reach his boiling point.
We're just not good enough. We don't obviously chemistry, talent-wise, just everything. And it was clear, like I said, these last few games, they just, from the beginning of the game, they were just aggressive, veteran team, obviously, championship team, and, one of the best teams that we have in this league. I love this city.
Upon his arrival in Brooklyn, James made it clear he was primarily focused on facilitating offense. Harden seamlessly transitioned his game. The Beard was an unstoppable scoring juggernaut in Houston. Last season began his transformation into the spellbinding, dime-dishing, bearded baller of Gotham City. Much gratitude to everyone who watched part 1 of the video. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. I got part 2 of the top 10 on the way soon, along with some other videos I want to mess around with. For my sports wagering fans, go follow the Nice Talk Twitter. I got nice bets kicking off super soon. To make a long story short, I'm gonna do something like a 3 to 5 leg parlay. If you can beat my bets, you might collect some coins. I want to give a shout out to my man Chevy for sending me the beat. Go check his album out. I'm gonna link it in the description. He went crazy. And lastly, I really want to appreciate, I really want to say appreciate it to everybody who took their time and watched this video. Until our next Nice Talk.